Hello one and all, and welcome back to the RimWorld Clone Army series. My dear friends, I am so glad to have you back with me here today, where at the moment we are still working on the massive landing pad for our Hammerhead cruiser that we've yet to build. Of course, as I've mentioned time and time again, this project is pretty enormous. For whatever reason, the clones are really struggling to get this massive landing strip going, and also the game still runs pretty slow when we're trying to build stuff like this, so on to something else. One of the first things we're doing today is planting a whole bunch of cotton in our hydroponics basins. And of course the reason behind that is because we need a whole heaping shit ton of cloth for the cruiser. Now of course that means we're going to need plenty of cotton, blah blah blah, you get the point. I think within the next few episodes I really want to try to buckle down and finish the cruiser, so throughout this episode and whatnot you're going to see me collecting a lot of resources. Now because we're going to be diverting all of our growing time to cotton so we can have cloth for the cruiser, that does mean we need an alternate source of food. So of course, as you can imagine, I'm going to hunt all of the animals on the map, and I literally mean all of them. And I'm talking that we're going to be hunting wild horses, we're going to be hunting boomalopes, rhinoceros, we're even going to be hunting all of the mega sloths, especially the mega sloths actually, because they're massive. And we're going to need to get all that sweet, succulent, meaty substance that we can, baby. Would you look at that? Our freezer full of the animals of our territory. Nothing more than a beautiful sight to behold, in my opinion. Even though we are the planetary army, we are truly a community here. Everyone chips in, even our android was cooking. It was during this time as well that I realized all of our planters were out hunting, cooking, butchering, and things like that, and none of the cotton had actually been planted, so I took a handful of clones, tossed them into the hydroponics room, locked them in until all the planting was done, and there we go. We would finally have all of our hydroponics basins stuffed to the brim with cotton plants, and after some time we will get some cloth. But unfortunately, right slap dab in the middle of that, we received a notification that Void had expanded once more upon the planet using their teleportation devices. No doubt they must have sent some remnants here or something, and they've overtaken one of the Imperial settlements. Now the empire of this planet is slowly becoming a massive powerhouse as we grow them and nurture them just like the little babies and plants that they are to us, but they still need our help at this time, so we're gonna send some people over to kick Void's ass as we always do. But you know guys, if I could be honest with you for just 1 second, I was kind of glad that we got that notification because, you know, even though I love collecting resources and planting and hunting, nothing brings me more joy than dropping nuclear bombs on these sons of bitches. And if you've watched any of season 1 or even a good portion of this season, you already know that I have a fusion bomb with Void scratched into the side of it waiting for them. As we hovered overhead, getting a good view of their new base that they've taken from the Empire and that they've kind of rearranged into one of their standard bases, my mouth salivated with the thoughts of dropping said bomb. I decided that we would let Cece and Taylor handle the dropping of the bomb, as Taylor is very seasoned in this sort of thing, and they were both kind of leading the mission, of course. And just like that, off we go. Fortunately, the nuclear bombs did not completely decimate all of the Void forces, and you did hear correctly, I said fortunately, because I've been itching for a fight. This time around though, things would be slightly different. We would not be fighting alone as the Empire had sent some support. Though of course, I would like to point out that these reinforcements were not necessary, although they were very much appreciated, a wonderful sign of the Empire's loyalty. And although the Imperials looked super badass in their brand new helmets and whatnot that we've provided to them, and they fought valiantly and very hard, they, for the most part, ended up dying damn near immediately after fistfighting with Void, but that was okay as Taylor and the others were still here. But I suppose, if nothing else, they did make for a pretty good buffer between us and the Void remnants that had taken over this settlement. And if that's not good enough for you, they at the very least drew some of the fire, so in other words, they were kind of cannon fodder, but hey, we didn't ask them to come here, they sent their own men to die. And as the sun was beginning to rise on yet another beautiful beautiful day here upon the planet. We had finally defeated most of the Void remnants and began trying to execute an attack on the remainder of their base that we hadn't nuked into dust, of course killing their droids and any mutants that remain within. Which I must say was a lot easier said than done. Don't get me wrong, we still managed it, but these Black Titans were a lot stronger than I remember in the last season. Unfortunately though, during the conflict, as the Imperials were taking on Void forces, our ship was destroyed, so we had to ask Wart to come and pick us up. And if I can be completely honest with you, I don't even know if I want to try and build another one, because I think that's the third or fourth ship that we've lost, so I don't know. Anyhow though, immediately after we got into the ship, we also loaded up a lot of the resources that we got from raiding this Void settlement and immediately began trading with every single Outlander settlement we could before eventually having to come all the way back home, dropping off all these goods. Now during this time, we bought a teeny tiny bit of uranium, but the one resource that we bought the most of course, is cloth, because we need a shit ton of cloth for our cruiser. As I've said time and time again, we immediately began trying to haul it all in very urgently as well. And we had also began harvesting what little bit of cloth that we had grown from our cotton field that ended up kind of getting cut in half by the giant landing pad for the cruiser, but that's okay, we'll try and grow some more. Now I will say trying to grow the cotton for cloth is a good idea, it just takes a very long time, and honestly we can get a lot more by just going to settlement and trying to purchase a lot of it, and we have plenty of resources to trade for the cloth, so it's not really a big deal, it's just extremely tedious, and eventually we do have to wait for them to kind of restock before buying more. However, of course, that would be a problem for the future, Rat and I, because we are taking to the skies once again to fly settlement to settlement every other Outlander faction on the planet that we had missed the first time, or we couldn't carry it all. I forgot why I went back home that fast, but anyhow, we're trading with all the other settlements, and once that was complete, we had more cloth. And this time around it was slightly a little bit less than the original trip that we made buying up all the cloth, but it was still a good drop in the bucket overall, I must say. Now of course another good portion of the cloth that we ended up having in storage came from our hydroponics basin, which took a very long time to grow, and I mean a very long time, so I just kind of sat around and waited, let the clones do whatever they wanted to, and then eventually it was fully grown and we began harvesting it. Whew, let me just say, I don't mind doing all this because I love you guys and I love this colony and this series, and this is all super fun, but holy shit, does it take forever to get this amount of resources to build one of these cruisers. Now of course, in hearing me saying that, you're probably thinking that I collected all the cloth that we need. Oh, you poor thing. No, we still have under half of the amount of cloth that we're going to need, but like I said, it is a huge drop in the bucket as we didn't even have a fraction of this before. Even though we don't have all the resources though, I decided to go ahead and lay out the blueprints for our Hammerhead class cruiser, and honestly I feel like this marks a massive milestone, not only in this colony but in the series and on the channel. I don't think I've ever done anything quite this large and just monumentous here on the channel. It's a big step for me, it's a big step for the channel, obviously the series and the colony of course, but I just want to thank you guys because I couldn't have done any of this without you, and I couldn't continue to do any of this without you guys, and I just love you very much. And as the episode is kind of winding down here, I have mentioned this in our community tab quite a few times. I just want to kind of get the word out that I also have a second channel. Originally it was our VOD channel, but it is now called Rat Night Plays because I'm actually going to be doing the Let's Play content over on that channel and kind of keeping this channel to a maybe shorter form content, kind of like we do with these episodes where they're about 8 to 15 minute long, less of 15 and more of 8 normally, but you guys should definitely go check that out. Of course, the other channel is listed in the channel section of this channel. I'll put a link in the bio or the description, stuff like that. But thank you guys ever so much for that. Thank you guys for watching. I love you. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.